Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well everybody, I know it's been a while, but it's high time for me to get back to my Sofia the First memory lane. And for this month, I've decided to blog 4 episodes from Sofia's second season. So, today, we're going to look at an episode that I've originally been planning to blog during late July, but unfortunately I was sidetracked due to several things piling up on my plate. Anyway, airing on television on November 7th, 2014, this is Baileywood. Now, let's get started. When the Kingdom of Enchantia is having their Royal Jubilee, a new steward named Slickwell, who wants Baileywick's job, gives him a cursed pin that causes him to be very clumsy, which leads Princess Sofia to help Baileywick by becoming his junior castle steward assistant. Meanwhile, Cedric competes with King Magnus's sorcerer Greylock in entertaining the other children. Now, what are my thoughts on this episode? Well, in my opinion, while it's not exactly perfect, this is another one of my favorite episodes. And to further explain why I love it, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, firstly, this is the second episode to feature Baileywick's name in the title. The first was Baileywick's Day Off, and it's also the second episode where Baileywick has a more active role, which is why I originally wanted to blog this episode during late July. Plus, the moral of this episode is, the best person to see to your needs is a loyal friend. And in my eyes, this is a lesson that really makes me smile, since I have several friends who are very loyal and they know how to help me in my time of needs. Plus, this episode gives a couple other lessons on how you shouldn't be down on yourself after a bad day, and on how 2 rivals should put aside their differences and work together. As for the animation, well, to me, I think the animation by Toei is still stunning and top-notch, and I love what the Kingdom of Enchantia does for its Jubilee, or birthday. By the way, the very first time I ever heard that term was during The Great Mouse Detective, where Queen Mousetoria was having her Diamond Jubilee. Anyway, during the Enchantian Jubilee, the kings and queens play a few games like croquet, they open Jubilee gifts, and they go on a cruise while Greylock and Cedric entertain the royal children. Now, in my opinion, while this is a great episode, I recently discovered that there are a couple goofs in a few scenes. And there's also the fact that this episode was aired before The Curse of Princess Ivy, which I blogged back in November 2014. But at the same time, I'm still enraged that copyright Nazis falsely struck my blog, which hurt me so badly in spirit that it almost made me want to quit blogging. But on the positive side, this episode did air on the exact same day as when Big Hero 6 got its theatrical release. Anyway, let's talk about a very important object in this episode, the Pin of Klutzenheimer. This pin has the power to curse colossal clumsiness on anybody who bears or even touches it. In my eyes, this pin is a really twisted object, and believe you me, I would never want to have anything curse me with clumsiness. Throughout this episode, only 4 characters become clumsy when they have the pin in their possession, but I'll talk about them later. And now, let's talk about the episode's song number, Helping Hand, which is sung by Sofia while telling Baileywick that she will help him get through his clumsiness by becoming his junior steward. At the same time, Slickwell sings out his desire to become the castle steward of Enchantia by getting rid of Baileywick. You know, I really love this song, and to me, it feels like another Broadway-style musical number. Also, this is the second song in the show where Sofia has a duet with a villain. The first was I'll Get My / That Amulet with Cedric in the Amulet of Avalor episode. However, the only flaw with this song is while Sofia is singing to Baileywick, Slickwell is in a room next door singing his plot out loud, and what's weird is that neither Baileywick nor Sofia notice, despite the door being wide open for them to hear him. And now, let's move on to the characters and their voice actors. Let's start with Baileywick, the Royal Steward of Enchantia, voiced by Tim Gunn, whom I remember from The Replacements, Teen Spirit, Mickey and the Roadster Racers, Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, and the 2011 Smurfs movie. To me, I think Baileywick is very dutiful, as well as a smart, polite, and organized man. Plus, I still like that the royal family treat him more as part of their family rather than a steward. However, it's revealed that during this episode that Baileywick is held in such high esteem by royalty that other royal stewards want his job out of spite. After receiving the pin of Klutzenheimer from Slickwell, Baileywick suddenly gets a bad case of clumsiness, and after one too many mishaps, even with Sofia's assistance, Baileywick decides to resign out of humiliation, until Sofia tells him about the pin and Slickwell's plot against him. By the way, one of my favorite scenes is when Baileywick gives Sofia her own pocket watch, which makes me think back to summer 2014 when my musical theater village friend John Shalhope gave me this pocket watch while I was performing as a train conductor in The Music Man. Princess Sofia is voiced once again by Ariel Winter, who voiced young Kyrie in the Kingdom Hearts game series, Marina from Jake and the Neverland Pirates, Marlene from the complete version of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, Penny Peterson in DreamWorks' Mr. Peabody and Sherman, young Trixie in Speed Racer, and Smurf Lily in Smurf the Lost Village. Now, this episode is the fourth time where Sofia becomes a supporting assistant, and it's the very first episode where Sofia gains a new hairstyle. To me, I really love Sofia's role in this episode, helping Baileywick as a junior steward, and I think Sofia's ponytail looks really cute and beautiful. Plus, one part of this episode shows Sofia's smart detective side, when she discovers the truth to why Baileywick has been clumsy, while browsing through the beginner's guide to magically cursed objects. Plus, I like the part where Sofia tells Baileywick that when she first became a princess, she felt she couldn't do it, and she would have quit just like that if he and her parents hadn't been there to support her. Also, I liked the part where Sofia steps forward and tells everybody on the royal schooner about Slickwell's plot and the pin of Klutzenheimer. Sofia's bunny friend Clover is voiced by Wayne Brady, whom was in Clifford's Really Big Movie, Stuart Little 3, and Food Fight. In my eyes, while Clover's role in this episode doesn't really add much, I still consider him as one of my favorite characters. Also, I like that Clover helps Sofia figure out why Baileywick was being clumsy due to both him and Sofia slipping and stumbling while holding the pin of Klutzenheimer. Plus, when Sofia tells him to make sure that Slickwell doesn't get away with it, I like when Clover gives Slickwell a taste of his own medicine by putting the pin on his coattails, which in my opinion was really sneaky of our favorite Blue Ribbon Bunny. Next is Cedric the Sorcerer, voiced by Jess Harnell, aka Wacko Warner from the Animaniacs series. During this episode, both Cedric and Greylock compete fiercely against each other in order to show who is more fun by conjuring up origamis, balloons, piñatas, and a flying carousel while entertaining the royal children. However, my favorite part involving them is when they work together to bring the flying carousel back down to Earth and get the royal schooner back to the harbor when it was in danger. Next we have King Magnus's Royal Sorcerer, Greylock the Grand, voiced by Mitchell Whitfield, whom was in TMNT, The Legend of Korra, Vampirina, along with Witch and Hellboy Sword of Storms. For those who don't know, Greylock was mentioned by King Magnus, whom was visiting Enchantia during the Cedric's Apprentice episode. However, in this episode, Greylock does have some slight character development while competing with Cedric during the Jubilee. To me, Greylock is very loyal and talented, but he's also known to be Cedric's former schoolmate at Hexley Hall, who often pulled off pranks and tricks on him, and he even gave him nicknames for the fun of it. Plus, Greylock is very skilled at powerful parlor tricks. Plus, ever since 2014, I felt that something about Greylock made me think of Harry Potter, in a way. Finally, we come to the episode's villain, Slickwell, the Royal Steward of Rudistan, who serves under King Magnus, voiced by Christian Borle, whom was in Season 2 of the Tangled TV series, Legally Blonde the Musical, and The Sound of Music Live. You know, I find Slickwell to be a really devious character due to his despicable plan of trying to take over Baileywick's job by making him clumsy with the pin of Klutzenheimer. And he tries talking Baileywick into retiring. Plus, he sees Princess Sofia's aid as a threat. Also, while ordering the castle's servants in the kitchen, Slickwell's manner is far less polite that he annoys them as a result. But, thankfully, at the end of the episode, after Sofia tells everybody about what Slickwell did, King Magnus instantly fires him, and the guards escort him to the gates and throw him out. And now, on to my final words. Overall, Baileywhoops is another great episode in Sofia's TV series. It shows Baileywick's dedication to his job and the fact that he puts the needs of others before himself. Plus, Baileywick is very sympathetic when he accidentally screws up big time. I love how Sofia was dedicated to helping Baileywick out, and I think her Junior Steward outfit makes her look very beautiful and adorable. Slickwell was a really devious character who was utilized very well. While he may not have a deep personality, he did prove to be a very effective villain. Also, I liked the subplot involving Cedric and Greylock, which to me provided a lot of the humor for this episode. Plus, it was really great seeing King Magnus again. The Helping Hand song is one of my favorite songs in Sofia's show, and I liked the episode's morals. However, despite a few goofs, this is another episode that everyone, young or old, should check out. As for my rating, I'll give it a full 100%. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me next time where we rejoin the Buttercup Scouts at a retirement home for sorcerers. Mustang Power.